I am Ann-Peggy Divine. Welcome to the Divine Design, the podcast where we unfold heaven on earth and reframe spirituality and theology for a new cosmic era. Your journey on human evolution and integration of your divine design starts here. Welcome, Colin.
Thank you.
So nice to line up with you.
Mm.
So soft and it was like, oh, we are in the holy secret space. So it felt like I was in the holy secret space. And what do we want from this holy secret space? And what I connected with was, I don't remember when you said it, but I have heard that I'm in for the new. I'm kind of sourcing the new. So it was like, okay, we will speak about the new, the newness, the freshness, being in the here and now, from second to second to second.
Yeah, it's interesting. Did we, had I read, I don't think I'd read the book. There's a lady called Barbara Han Clow. She's been writing about dimensions and, she channels Arcturians, I think. And she's been writing for years, and she's just updated a book about the 9 dimensions. She describes each one in turn, and her and her husband have done a meditation for each one, so you can get into the groove, if you like, of the chapter. So I went through that. I went through the process, if you like, of tuning into each dimension, and that was kind of interesting because I haven't really related to the dimensions in the way that she describes, but I could do that. And the way she was describing them was that you had to, what you might encounter as you go through the book is barriers of like your mental or health or whatever barriers that are restricting your access to the next dimension, if you like, and that kind of thing. And I was reading a chapter a day, going through the motions, and then leaving it, and then the following day I'd read another one. And it took me a little bit more than 9 days to read the whole thing, but I found myself getting to the end quite quickly, and I was interested. That intrigued me because I was thinking, well, perhaps I've already extended into this, these dimensions.
Yes.
And then she mentioned that the way that the universe is constructed is that right in the middle of the Milky Way is a black hole, and then it draws realities through it, from the center of it, in and out. So our reality is that's as our source, if you like, of our reality. And on the other side, it could be anything. So that intrigued me. So that since then I've because that's one of the things I do. I journey in my mind, or I take my etheric body or whatever it is to wherever these people are describing. And I thought, well, let's go there. Let's go through it and out the other side. And when I did that, I found myself in this what we're describing here. This pristine, new, never been experienced before field. This field, well, call it what you like. It was, and the impression I had there that I've got to bring this back. This is what I do. This is my job. The reason I'm here is to go and get the new, and bring it back. So that I did a few of those exercises, and I communicate with the trees, and I ground it through into the roots of the trees, and then into the earth, and that. And I've been doing that, and I thought that was quite quite interesting exercise for me personally. And then I do a call similar to this one, but just on the telephone, to a lady in Swansea, and we met years ago on 11/11. We did some work around some standing stones near Bristol, and I just happened to pick her up from the station and take her to the thing. Somebody asked me to, and then we became friends. But we realized we got this very, very high vibrational connection that neither of us described, other than this, we're tuning like we just did, and
Yeah.
then we link hearts, and then I'll describe a journey to her, and I've I guess that was a bit of learning for me because I've only ever followed people's journeys. Normally I don't tend to lead. So when I was leading with her, I was learning that as a skill, if you like. But I did that, and I the last conversation we had, which is I think it was last week, I took her to this place, and we can go there instantly. So I said to her, 'cause a lot of people like to build up to a journey because they think in their minds it's a long way, the Milky Way. So I'll need to travel there. Do you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
we'll do
Yeah.
well, here we are, we're traveling through this, and you have to describe the journey for them to, really get there. But with my friend in Swansea, we just go there. So I said, well, let's just go through it now. Let's do it. And we did, both of us. And then she started describing the colors and isn't that amazing? I thought, well, isn't that interesting? So it wasn't just me. I guess I was looking for a bit of feedback. So it wasn't just me thinking that that's what's happening. I actually managed to, I was able to describe it to someone and take them there and bring it back. And I've been doing that almost like a daily exercise. And when we do the maestro's calls with Solera and her group, I generally that's the place I'm bringing the new in from.
Ah.
But I'm not using the same language. I find it sometimes that it doesn't sit with the group conversation. Sometimes I find what I'm talking about is a bit technical. It feels structured. Yeah. So I try not to talk too structured, but inevitably it happens. So I say, oh, I was just pulling these shapes and spheres out of the atmosphere. But I thought that's the big thing this over this sort of like this last month, if you like, is that I'm getting a more of an understanding, if you like, of what it is I do. We've been talking about the new and what's my role
Yeah.
and how am I going to um, pass it on if I need to? Do I even need to? Um, and it's interesting because 2022 I was getting a similar sort of I need to be doing something, and I'd put down the magazine I was writing for 15 years or so, and I'd put that aside, and I wasn't doing that anymore. So I thought, well, what do I need to do? And the title for my whatever it is sort of came up, and I thought celestial alchemy. And I thought, oh, that's interesting. I wonder. So I started posting a few things on a website, and and it just didn't it sort of my interest went to elsewhere, and I just didn't pick it up. And I've still got the website. So after I've been doing this, I started looking back and thinking, I wonder if this is the thing.
Ah.
I wonder if it's something to do with describing how one goes to get, where that is, that pristine uh, newness, this brand new. It's never been here before in all of Earth's history. We haven't done this before. That's what I was getting on one of the calls earlier this week. We haven't been here before. We haven't done this before, and this is that newness. So how does one describe how that is, and how you get there? And there was something to do with the vibration as well. The vibration is we spoke about this on our last call. It's love is a is the component that brings it through. It you can't be out of love for this to work.
Mm.
Um, and so what is love? Well, love is it's a sort of knowing. As soon as you're in that energy, it's like, oh yeah, 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 this is right. It's absolutely um, the thing. And so that part of me that's bringing it in, and this part of me here, it's almost like we love one another
Yeah.
to get to this point. Wow, that just suddenly saying it sounds weird, doesn't it? But sometimes, in order for me to get my vibration up, I imagine that part of me separate, and I sort of I send love to that part of me, and then I feel the love coming back, and then we're in that energy, and yeah, that's how I sort of engage with it. And I've it's funny because as soon as I start talking about it, I'm in, I feel it and it's there. So that shifted a big chunk of me down. So I feel it's a very different feeling.
Yeah, and I love you talking about this because what you are saying synchronize so much what I have said yes to and my role, because it's also new. I have said yes to be the new medicine woman of the new era. We have had a lot of medicine women and men during all the years, but of the new era, what I'm doing now is like, wow, I cannot ask anyone for help, and I'm traveling in dimension and I'm getting medicine past time, future time. So it's like, yeah, so we are kind of into the same, just having our roles. And since I have been engaged and trying to find healing methods, being into medicine and therapy, that's kind of my intention almost for everything I do.
Mm,
So I'm into three archetypes that I'm integrating. The medicine woman, I was initiated as a medicine woman in 2017. But then it was like, I didn't feel I could embody it because I wasn't grounded enough, and I didn't feel I knew enough. But now I know that, yeah, I'm a medicine woman and I own it. But the medicine woman of the new era, this is also new, and it's from second to second you get newness. And
mm,
if I try to put it in a box and try to structure it, you say you think about instructor. For me, that's kind of that it doesn't go with that. It's kind of it's no structure to put it out. It's kind of the open heart going from second to second, and what works in this hour, maybe tomorrow it's wrong. So,
yeah.
but I feel like a child, very curious what's happening, what's new. So it's so much new. Uh, but I think it's hard to put it in structure or boxes.
Yeah, we've a friend of mine, Selena, and I have been working together for years, and she's got an art, a fabulous art talent, and she creates what she calls vibra keys, which she communicates with all sorts of different beings and creates this wonderful artwork. And she's been doing it for years, and she's got a big website with all these things on. And I was at one point thinking that that might be something I could do, I could help with, because we often do journey together, and she'll create the artwork after, after the journeys. And we bring in these energies, like some one time we called it the crystal seeding, and it was all really quite magical. And because these are works of art that are in, they take form, if you like. They then are relatively static in their appearance, but they're dynamic in the way that the individuals react with them. She called, the sort of vibrational art, as she calls it. But the problem we've been having is actually then getting it out, get how does it get out to people, and how do we describe it? So we created some online courses, a bit naively, to be honest, because they're not overly well structured, and we're very against the way that one advertises these things. Get one, buy one now, get one free. All this sort of, we're not into that. So it hasn't really gone anywhere. So we've got a thing called the omniversity sitting out there. Nobody buying the courses, and we were both reflecting on that as to well, so why is that so challenging? And it's almost like, well, maybe that's not what we're supposed to do with it. So we was looking at it another way, is what if, like I've just described to you, going up to get that energy and bringing it in, what if that was it?
Yeah.
What if it was just to do that? So I had to read that book, I had to be inspired by this and that and the other, and I bring it in. Does it need to be, do I need to tell, I mean, telling you about it, but do I need to explain how other people can go and do that? Or was it just because that's my job and I've just gone and done it? And it may be that she needs to bring these geometries in,
Yeah.
but once you've brought them in, because funnily enough, the book I was reading, the Barbara Hand Clow one, she went through describing the geometries, and how crop circles were bringing in a specific vibrational imprint. So we didn't even need to know where they were from or even see them for them to have worked. It was literally a vibrational imprint that needed to be on the earth, and then the job was done. So all of the after, people looking at them, taking photographs of them, spreading the word, that was sort of almost like incidental, because we were already imprinted with this vibration that the geometry had brought. And I'm wondering whether that, again, like her artwork, whether that, just the fact that she's brought it all together and put it in a form that could be seen in this dimension, that maybe that was enough. That was the job. Tick, done that. But it's not very lucrative for so it's not, I mean, I think the intention was that people might buy them and look at them, but
Yeah.
it's an interesting idea that maybe some of these things just need bringing in, and it may be someone else's job to articulate it. Maybe they'll pick it up because I've brought it in and it's gone like this. So I'm still at that early stage of understanding if there is more to the role that I'm doing. Is there more to it? And what do I need to do about that? So I've restarted my journal and I've started writing more about it, and seeing if that stimulates almost like a conversation with myself.
Yeah.
That somewhere along the line there'll be this prod, because the universe will give you the prod.
Yeah.
By the way, when are you going to start? What you came to do, and you think, well, I didn't realize that's what I was supposed to be doing. I'm open. I think it's like you saying, you sort of say yes, and then you sort of kind of, well, okay, so and you've no idea what it is, or you might have an inkling, but it's sort of.
Yeah. Well, for me, I have been a medicine man in earlier life, so it kind of I a fuse past life and future life. So for me, it is kind of okay. I do it, and when I go in hypnosis, like you, when you travel in dimension, I call this hypnosis because then I go out of my ego. And what happened to my body, it become ultra sensitive. I feel everything. So that kind of when I choose what do my body, this instrument want to experience, want to feel, want the wisdom of. So it's like going out of the mental construct and using the body to sense. So my experience of what we are moving into is a sensory being. We are sensory being more than a mental being. And the sensory being can take us everywhere. And the senses also change from day to day. That's why it's like what is correct today can be another thing tomorrow. So, and as you say, then it's difficult to put it into boxes and sell it and to make money of it.
That's
Because
right.
it's
Yeah.
changed from day to day. But something also has to happen with our economy on Earth and all the system we have. So the more we go into this new, it is kind of 180 degrees turn off of our thinking, our doing and being. So it's
Mm.
completely opposite. So when I think with my personality and try to take that against the new, it's like it it's different languages. They can't you can't put them. It's difficult to understand it against each other because it's total different words. So what is the rules in the physical world or in the kind of the world we have to adjust to is total different in the new world.
Mm. Yeah.
But experience but yeah, I do a lot of ceremony. So here I am in nature and I do fire ceremony and yeah, ceremony is kind of my way, and I like doing ceremony. I play with ceremony, and then I get so many answers to ceremony. So that is kind of my way of doing it, and the medicine kind of come through the ceremony.
Mm. Mm. Yeah. I've yeah, I was taught my Reiki teacher was very much like you. She loved the nature. She loved the ceremony, and she'd
Yeah,
researched so many different types of ceremony that she liked to pass on when because we had monthly meetings, and she'd teach us the different aspects, if you like, of the ceremony. I guess I'm a little bit, um, and I don't know why, but I've not really taken to the ceremony part of whatever it is, and I'm not quite sure why that is. There's a little bit of rebelliousness,
yeah,
uh, yeah, but it might also be that once I've learned it, I've got it. That don't know, don't know. There's something, yeah. It's almost like I've got a map. So I need the ceremony to get me to where it is, but once it's clicked, I can go straight to it. So I've got a um, I'm a bit lazy, so I'll just go straight there rather than oh, I don't need to do that now. So I guess I'm a little bit like that. But when what I think when I've been trying to teach, I make the assumption wrongly that other people can go straight there. And I don't do because I got some comments back. You could have left a bigger gap there because I was in a meditation, for example. I didn't quite get to where I needed a bit more time. And you're thinking, oh, okay, uh, how I wonder how long that needs to be. Because some people leave big gaps in their meditations, don't they? So that you can really sort of relax in. But I would sort of take you there. All right, okay, no, well, we've done that, and I wouldn't leave them enough time.
yeah.
But
But I
anyway,
experience the same as you because when I have done the ceremony and take it, then I can go in instant. Then it's there. And sometimes also I do it, I create sacred space in my room and just because then you have kind of connected. So it feels like I'm doing it, what I'm doing in nature, I also do in inside the house. So it's kind of the inward journey and the outward kind of mirroring what I do inward and outward in a
mm,
ceremony. But maybe I don't need the ceremony, and maybe I will come as, okay, I don't need to go to the wood and be outside. But Mother Earth is so healing and so refreshing,
mm.
and it's like, heaven on earth just being outside. And here we have no pollution, and it's so fresh. So it's,
Yeah, yeah. We've got because I'm near to the coast where I live. Well, I mean the beach is literally the other side of the road, by our flats, and it is a lot fresher than, say, the city we were living in Bristol. It's still, we're still on a small island that's, we're not it's not, air isn't ever that clear, but it's a lot clearer, and we appreciate that because particularly when I go up into the hills and the woodlands, like that's very, very close by, because Exmoor is not very far away from us. It's literally I can walk there. So it's a very nice thing to be doing, is walking in. I find that because I'm walking for exercise, I find myself pacing along and not being in the wood. Do you know what I mean? I have to, because I was talking to Solera about this the other day. So it's sort of like I have to switch myself on, like I just did at the beginning of this, where I was saying I love myself and everything. I have to literally remind myself that I am this amazing super being who is experiencing Earth, and I'm interconnected to everything, and then suddenly, I'm in the woods. But up to that point, I was just a human walking in the woods. There's still, for me anyway, I guess the busyness of being, that
Yeah.
it takes an effort, not an effort. It takes me to just click over to be this being, and I guess that's been the case all the way through my working life, where ever since I started doing this stuff, I don't know, 90 something, 98, 99, when I was really sort of beginning to get this and top playing with it, being on the tube in London and sending love along the track and up into London upwards, and playing with the energies. But I'd still have to then go to work and run the project I was on. So, there was the real life bit, was probably, I don't know, 95% more, and the traveling around and exploring my spirituality was, kind of like quite a small section.
That reminded me about, because last week I was 5 or 7 minutes into a meeting with you, and I was going in the wood, and I'd had to go off, but I heard what you were saying for 5 minutes. And what you said is like, when I'm in this space, I can't be, when I'm in a Zoom meeting, I'm not in it, but I have to go out, then I'm in it. So it's kind of, yeah, if we really, so that was what I got from, if I'm really supposed to be in the wood and feel the bigness of it and all these things, I cannot be in the Zoom meeting. So it was like, I have to be here, because I felt the energy and it was breathtaking. It was so beautiful, and like, I am in a Zoom meeting. No, I have to be here and now. So it kind of, okay, I just had to. So when we were lining up, I just lined up and was in nature. So it's kind of, yes. So when we are here, it can be difficult to be in this dimension if we are in meetings and with a lot of people. It's easier to go there alone.
Yeah, yeah. I find it also, and I've been finding it interesting this week. Take it back to last week. I could go to this place, pull that energy, and I was zinging it all over the place, and it was like, wow, I'm on fire. This is great. And then this week, earlier, and the few Zooms I've been in, because it's been quite a Zoomy week. And towards the last one, was let's all line up, and I was lining up, bit flat today, bit not here. And this morning I was going, just doing my normal meditation and think, I'll prepare for this meeting, make sure I'm all lined up and raring to go. And it was a little bit flat. It wasn't the same sparky place that I'd gone to, and I find that sometimes, and it's almost like there's you know, like people talk about gateways and alignments and things like that. It's almost like there was a window of opportunity that I capitalized on, and I was able to fly out because everything was lined up for me, and and all of my helpers and aspects of me that wanted me to do it had prepared the space. And now the human part of me is thinking that was great fun. I'd like to go and do that again. And it's like, that's odd. I can't seem to get there quite so easy. And I'm really trying, and it's like, you've done it. The feedback I was getting this morning was, well, you've done that. So
Yeah.
so it's almost like we'll let you know when the next thing is, and so like you were saying, like what we were talking about earlier, is if I'm supposed to be imparting this to people and telling them, "Wow, this is amazing, you can do this." Well, that wouldn't be exactly true because the opportunity's gone now, that whatever that was. And you're thinking, well, I don't know. I've absolutely no idea in a way how all this works. The other part of me has obviously got it all mapped out and knows exactly the right times and the synchronicities and all the other things are all going to work well. So human Colin can just wait a little while because maybe his vibration isn't up yet. So it's funny because every time I get to where I think I'm going to write about this, I'm going to write about this. It's all these aspects of me I understand now, and I'm going to write about them. And I go into it, and then I sit at the keyboard and I just, mm. And it's not ready. It's not. When it's ready because Solera talks about this thing, doesn't she? She said, oh, the words will just fly through. You just plug into this space, and the words just whoosh. Well, they don't. For me, they don't. They mysteriously disappear.
But what you are talking about, I call this divine timing, because for years I have known what I'm supposed to do, and I tried to force it for a period because I knew what would come, because I knew the future, but it wasn't the right timing. So it's like, okay, so that's the way I understood divine timing.
Mm.
So you are telling it in your way. It's kind of, no, it's not there. So maybe in a month, next year. So
Yeah,
divine timing is like, okay, it's divine timing. Okay, so when you have kind of an opening and you see a lot, oh, I will go on this ride, I will experience this, I will do all this. Because I had a very big opening in 2017. It was woohoo! And I tried to do everything at the same time, but that doesn't work. So maybe it's kind of when we go into this new era, we know what we will experience, but it's something we have to adjust to divine timing, because we are going into our divinity, but in our divinity there are also divine timing.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I think I mean I've been one of the things that I've been sort of aware of over this journey, if you like, because my interests are very much in looking at other uh, civilizations, if you like, in other worlds. I'm I'm absolutely certain they're there. It's just people say, oh no, well we're alone in humanity. Well, we certainly aren't. There's so many other aspects out there of us, and every time I do a journey, um, my friend would say, oh well, there's three beings here, and they're from Arcturus, and they do and I'd look and I think three, that's interesting because there's three of us in this, we're chatting and there's three of us. And I'd sensed that those three beings were us, but they were in another dimension or, another planet, or whatever. And so I've been picking up these aspects of myself over the years. And I thought it would, another thing that this going to this energy stimulated that, well, why don't I write down all the aspects of myself that I'm aware of? And um, I started doing that. And I found one from, gosh, a long time ago. It might have been 2006 or something like that. it was a long time anyway. Right early on when I was, and I was being described by someone who I didn't know. She apparently was telling me through a translator because she was mute. She couldn't speak, but the people could pick up her thoughts.
Yeah.
And she was already living in another dimension. This lady, and she was saying that I'm her 12th dimensional partner uh, somewhere, and that I create structures for new worlds. And she and that sort of I thought, oh, at the time, oh, that's nice, that's interesting, and I just let it, it just it disappeared and went away, kind of thing. And it's only now as I've been going back all my notes and all the things going back, I picked this one up. Oh, that's right, I remember that, and it ties in now. I can see that's what I've been doing. And interesting that the 12th dimension is way it's beyond the description of the book I was reading because they only did the 9. And they said if you go beyond 12, you're not in physical any, you're not even that you can't even comprehend what that is. Because it's outside of our, you know, language or experience or whatever. And I found that quite interesting that I've always been able to not comprehend, but I've been able to go to these places and touch them and feel, and feel it beyond what's been described. I think Santari does this as well. Quite interesting actually. Sometimes when he comes in and he describes things, I think, "Ooh, that's just you're stripping out everything, taking everything apart with nothing left." I like to have something. I like a
Yeah.
bit of structure. I like a descriptor to fit whatever it is I'm experiencing. I actually quite like structure. Excuse me. Um,
I
but
really like that you say it's aspect of me because a lot of people think, oh, we meet so many things, and I also experience that these are parts of me. It's not because, oh, we have to fight them. If we go into, oh, we have to fight people on that planet or that dimension. Well, it actually, if we start a fight against them, then we also start a fight against ourselves. So it's like an autoimmune disease. So the autoimmune disease we have inside us is kind of mirror our subconscious and war,
mm,
war, war, war. But everything is a part of us because the more we get sensitive, the more we go out of our ego, the more we sense that we are everything. We are Mother Earth, we are other galaxy, we are other entity, we are everything. So it's like, why are we fighting? We are actually fighting ourselves.
true.
So
Yeah,
I'm so glad that you said that it's other aspect of me.
yeah. I think, and again, that was something that my the friends I was with, who we journey with, they were a little bit sort of, what's he talking about? Because I think their map of reality, if you like, didn't include themselves being in these places. Those were other beings from, elsewhere. The sense I was getting was that these were parts of ourselves who were helping us realize that we are multidimensional, and these are, by the way, I am part of you.
Yeah.
It's interesting because I had there's a being that I can't remember when I read a book about the Arcturians, and all you had to do was send love out, and they would return the love, and then you could start um, a dialogue, or maybe you could ask for some healing, or whatever that connection was about. And I found that I was connecting with well, I felt it was a female. I mean, I've since learned that they don't necessarily have males or females in that particular sphere, but it felt female, and I had a name for her. It was like Kia, I think it was Kayaka, something like that. That's how it sounded, and I've been sort of relating, imagining myself with a family, in this place, and this being. And I was looking around thinking, I wonder where my partner is. Is she my partner, or am I? And eventually I realized she and I are one. And as soon as that happened, it was like we were, I wouldn't say we, it's difficult to describe how that being one with that, and still being separate. It's a very funny, your words aren't really adequate, are they, for that? But I've experienced that with other humans as well. That oneness, how you could actually be totally at one, and yet, like on a Zoom call like this, you're clearly not one, but there's that something in there that they're kind of teaching us how that oneness works. This
Yes.
is how oneness is.
Yeah.
And it almost brings tears to my eyes how much love that brings, because she's obviously with me now, and
Yeah.
it's like, that's, it's just unbelievable how beautiful that relationship is.
Yeah, and what we are talking about, this is an important key of the new, because we kind of more and more embodied the unity, the singularity, because we know that we are all one. But we have spoken for some period, we are all one, but it's have been a concept. But we
Yeah.
are going into it not as a concept, but as a being, as an experience that we experience. I experience you. And when we hear about regression therapy, I have been Cleopatra, I have been this, I have been that. We can go into experience whatever we want. It's cool. No, you can't be her because I am her. So it's kind of, we go in our individuality, but we can be whatever we want. Jesus, God, Buddha, whatever. It's kind of the singularity. We experience it and know that what I'm doing, you can do. All of it. We are experiencing it as an individual experience, but we all have the capability to do it.
I think the because we spoke about this on our last call, didn't we? That the energy of Jesus, and how I again, I can hardly speak when that happens. How when that enters me, and I'm so sorry, I've just got to experience the emotion, the love that's just brought. It's almost like part of Colin wants can't quite acknowledge that that's how that connection is so real. But I believe that me now having done that, I'm now, I've described these bubbles. I'm transmitting. I'm a beacon. So I might not fully understand how that works, but in order to be, in order for me to function as a divine being, I I need to do this. I need to acknowledge my ancestry, my whatever that is, my hierarchy. I don't know. The words aren't describing it, but I need to acknowledge that, and I need to allow myself to be that. And sometimes, it gets me.
Yeah, and
Sometimes I've just got to talk it.
yeah. And when we talk about this, the last podcast, I felt my heart expand, and the same happened now. So every time I talk about this Christ energy, my heart goes so widely open, and it is the same as happened. The more I go out of the ego, kind of sensing everything. So when the heart is totally open, it senses everything. It can be everything. So he was here to show us that we can sense everything. He lived as an awakened being. And that's what we are moving towards, being awakened being, knowing that if I hurt you, I'm hurting aspect of myself.
Yeah, yeah. It's an interesting it's an interesting thing because I, I always hesitate around that, and you know, particularly naming the energy, because people have such a lot of stuff they've built around the name and the life of, you know, and much of it isn't true. Much of it is,
But
you
if
know.
you go out of the concept, because I also, in the beginning, when I met Jesus the first time, no, 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 I don't want to meet you. I said no. Several times he knocked on my door, wanted to talk to me, and I was, no, I will talk to others, but not Jesus, because I, in my head, was so mental, and Jesus, no, I can't talk to Jesus. But I have invited him in, and and every time he is here, my heart go more and more open. So if I go out of my mental concept and just feel,
Yeah,
it is not because we are afraid of the word Jesus sometimes. Like, oh, you are religious, you are Christianity, you are, yeah. But no, it is a sensory experience. It's an awakening, an
yeah,
opening.
yeah. And it's almost like that's the test.
Yeah,
That it's sort of like, can you put aside all that stuff and
yeah,
just be with?
yes,
And the interesting thing is it's almost like it's the ultimate of personal. That's where I that's when we were talking about divine, you know, before, it's for me that's the divine. That's the that's the sacred connection to me. And I am that, I am that. Um, but it's real. This, yeah, I've run out of words. Just being in it, and then knowing that being in it with, you know, with another, it amplifies, doesn't it? I mean, it's just we are, our fields suddenly sort of whoosh, you know, like they whoosh together and boom. It's that's the magic. I think that, you know, all of this call up to that point was almost probably just so that I could say that thing and
yeah,
we could go, wow.
yeah. And it's a choice. Everything is a choice. But the beginning, when I met the Jesus Christ and opening my heart, is no, I can open my heart, but not through Jesus. So it's, do we choose love? Do we choose to open? So it's a choosing game, kind of. We can choose to be in the darkness. We can choose to be sick. We can choose everything. But the more I went out of my head, the more it's like, I don't need to, okay, this is wrong, because we are so structured in our head. So that's why I think we have to go out of this structure in programming that we have, that so just go with the heart, and the heart can go everywhere, and it's changed from second to second, and it's refreshed, and it fills us up. And this is for me creating heaven on earth.
Definitely. Yeah. Yeah. And you see it then more,
Yeah,
and you know, it's available. Um, but it's in, yeah, I love the interactions. I think part of the reason I came back to Solera's groups, you know, because I've left them for quite many years, and I sort of came back because I was missing the interactions, you know, the actual shared experience. It's good that you can go to these places on your own and you can learn, and you know, it's great. But to share a moment like we just shared there, it's beyond, you know, the personal, and I think it's reassuring also to know that there's somebody else
yeah,
who is also experiencing these things. And the thing I love about conversations like this is that the background, our backgrounds are so different, you know, going to be anyway because we're from different countries. But they're, your experiences for of getting to this point are so different, and yet our divine essence, if you like, has brought us together at this point.
yeah,
And I still think there's it's a bit like when I was talking to my friend about crystal seeding. She was describing it, and we together brought it in. It wasn't something a single person could do on their own. it needed the co-creative forces of more than one person. So two together, great. That's very big, like we just experienced. Three, four, it just begins to really, expand. And I think sometimes when we do work together like that, we're really impacting the realities that we're living in. We're really bringing in this new energy that we started off talking about, and we're bringing it in a way that sometimes we can't even describe, but we absolutely know it's happening. And I mean, I don't know quite exactly what happens when I'm bringing these bubbles of this newness around, because I surround myself with it, and I walk along the street and I'm thinking, here, I'll have a bit of my bubble kind of thing, just to sort of play with it, see what happens. And who knows what that's doing? I mean, people walk past. Something's happened the other day. People were beeping their car because I was wheeling Jill around on a wheelchair out along the coast path, and a car went past on the road and beeped. And the two people inside waved, and we both looked and waved, and they thought, "Do we know them?" You know, and that happened twice on that journey. A chap walked past me and said, "Oh, hello," and I'm looking and I'm thinking, "Do I know you?" But I think they recognized some. They didn't know me. I didn't know them, but they sort of recognized something. Something intangible.
Yeah.
And I was reflecting on that afterwards. I was thinking, I wonder if that's what it was, because human wise, I don't think we've ever met.
Yeah, but
But
we know everybody if we go to
yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, I've been, I've done a lot of work in London and places like that, and I'm well used to how people isolate in order to survive. Almost, you don't communicate with the crowd
Yeah.
because it's just, oh my God, that person's talking to me. You insulate yourself, and I think so many people live in big cities and they find their way to cope, if they are sensitive in any way, is to create this insulation.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
And I think that's once that barrier, if you like, or the is opened up, um, and everyone is feeling one another in this way, it would it that the change will occur so rapidly. I get the feeling it's going to be happening this year, or these years coming, very rapidly. It just sense that that's happening. So no, yeah, welcome the new.
Yeah. And I wanted to invite you into something, but I think that we will finish this call and we will have another call with that, because then we start in another, and it will be very long, because what we have spoken of now, it's big what we have taken now. It's like we have spoken about the future, how to turn the world as we know it upside down and go into a totally new era.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. This is the beginning of the new, for sure. I must admit, when so I've contributed to a couple of books, leading up to and just after 2012, and it was going to be the big thing, it came and went, and sort of think, oh well, I was expecting a bigger change than that. But now people are writing about now as being the pivotal moment, and I think that's the experience is telling that is the case, that
Yeah.
we are absolutely at the point of moving from one to the other.
Yeah.
And 2012 was just to sort of switching it on.
Yeah.
We needed this time for it to get to this point now, and now all the alignments are happening. Now this is the big time for
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah.
So
Thank you, Colin.
yeah,
It's
thank you.
an interesting conversation.
Yeah, yeah, I enjoy them.
Thank you for listening to the Divine Design podcast with Ann-Peggy Divine. You can follow divinedesign.it on Instagram, Facebook, X and TikTok. Join us next Sunday for another Heaven on Earth unfolding conversation. With grace, reverence and unity, may the path of your divine design light the way. From the divine in us to the divine in you.